Hello, so today I'm going to go over in a VOD review format of a pretty exciting game that I was playing. You can probably tell from the thumbnail of this video what's going to go on here. But basically, this is a built diff game. And I'll kind of go over the built diff trait, like what traits to play inside of it, and like how to kind of like make it work. Or sorry, what units, because you're playing no traits, and how to make it work. I'm a strong believer in like sometimes there's really good augments that give you like solid direction, right? Like that's something like built diff. There's like the hero augments, there's specific augments for specific traits, and depending on some of them are good, some of them are bad, but you kind of have to have an understanding of how to play each one, because it makes you more flexible, right? Because if you just randomly get offered something that can be an easy top 4, I feel like you should just take it instead of like, you know, playing around something else, if so to speak, right? So built diff actually has really good stats. They did nerf it a little bit, but I don't think it affected the stats too much, right? So like if I check right now, built diff, it averages like a 4.5. It's not the best, but it's not that bad. But it has a top 4 of around 50%. So it's like right dab in the middle of like you can get a pretty good top 4. It was a little bit better before the nerfs, but the thing is, like, as soon as you start stacking in units, right, like it goes up by a lot, right? Like if you have a singular Annie on your board, for example, it already like drops down to like in the 3s, if that makes sense, right? The biggest problem with built diff is like getting there, right? Like if it like there's a lot of like built diff, you basically have to get to 8, if that makes sense. You want to go to 8 and you want to roll for pretty much every 4 costs in the game and just shove in all the 4 costs, right? And when you shove in all the 4 costs, then you're just like giga strong, right? And then you're just re-rolling for all the 4 costs, and you're kind of treating it like similar to like how you would like a 3 cost or a 2 cost re-roll, where you're just like efficiently rolling for 3 costs or 2 costs, but instead you're rolling for 4 costs, right? So it's kind of like it's a little bit degenerate. It's a little bit like but it is very, very strong, right? The biggest problem is that you have to get to 8, right? So in this lobby, it's Scuttle Puddle, so everybody's gonna get to 8. So I'm not really concerned about that. If you're in like a spot where you don't have like a win streak opener, you might be a little bit more cautious on taking it, but I still think it probably will be good. Okay, so here we see it, built diff 2. So if you have no traits active, so basically you have to build a board where there's no traits active. So on the side, nothing is highlighted, and then those units will gain they'll gain HP and attack speed. And attack speed is always just really good, which is why this trait generally is pretty broken. So here I'm just building a temporary board of all units that have no traits in. And the goal is here to minimize losses. So when you're playing early game, you want to minimize all the losses until you get to level 8, and then you're just going to roll as much as you can on level 8 that is reasonable. You could try and go 9, but there's not that much reason to go 9. The only 5 costs you can play with built diff are Irelia, Azir, and Set, I believe. You could also play Wei, and Wei won't get the built diff stat, but Wei does have a really big negative delta. Oh, also Lissandra. Like a lot of the legendaries have a big negative delta if you play them. Like they're still really strong. It's because like if you just have like a random legendary, like if you have like Wei is like the best unit in the game pretty much, right? If you have like a random Wei on your board, it's not gonna really like matter if he's not getting the built diff, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't matter that much. What matters is when you have a legendary that then also takes away from one of the units on your board. So for example, if you're playing Lee Sin and then you put in Irelia, then Irelia and Lee Sin both lose the built diff, so then it's like, then that's a little bit worse. That will probably bring down your average placement a little bit. But if you're just gonna shove in like go 9 and shove in a random Hwei because you have everybody upgraded already and you're win streaking and you're doing great, then sure, and then you can roll on 9 odds and try and like 3-star one of the 4 costs. I'm gonna pause this. Like this is me figuring it out because I'm just trying to like find the units to play. Once I highlight it properly, so this isn't like the proper board, but this is like one board, right? Typically, I'll wait till I put it in the team tracker properly, and then I'll show you the team comp. So just because it's a little bit easier, my pen tool broke on my computer. I'll try and fix it for the next VOD review. There's gonna be quite a few of these like VOD review-ish videos, just because I was playing a lot offline to grind to Emerald. So you know, the other videos where I'm talking while I'm playing and there's like background audio and all of that, those are usually like when I'm on stream and I'm just like uploading the VODs on this channel. The next couple videos also for the week are gonna be some of them more like tutorial focused. Like I'm gonna try and compile like I played a lot of games of Ghostly, which is a really strong comp if you haven't seen it right now. I've played a lot of Duelist, because I really like that comp. So I'll probably like compile like a couple of those into it, and then kind of give like a small tutorial, like this is one rendition of how you play it, this is another if you have these items, and make it more tutorial like by combining some of the VODs. I'll try that for the next couple uploads, just to like not make it too redundant, and then if there's like exciting games, I'll single out the exciting games. But yeah, it was artifact, or we got artifact, so I get diamond hands, which is really good on a lot of units, and it also helps me gain some econ, so that helps me to streak. The main thing you should just focus on, like I said, is just minimizing losses. Okay, hopefully I can fix the board now. I spent a lot of time here because and then I need to put in Kayn. It's Kayn over Morgana, but yeah, I'll figure it out soon. The reason you don't want to play Morgana is because I think you can fit in, I think she clashes too much, and Kayn benefits a lot from the attack speed. So you just want to play Kayn because the unit's just a lot better in terms of just being a damage dealer. All right, let me pause here. Okay, so this is the main built diff comp, if you can see. So basically, if you look at the forecasts as they are displayed in your team planner, you basically highlight the whole top row and then the left little set of 4, right? And then you can, if you need to put in another unit, you can swap out the units so long as they don't conflict with each other. So for example, you can switch the Lee Sin for a Silas, and that would be really good. You can put in a Syndra, you can put in the Morgana for the Kayn. So that like this, but this is like the main one. Lee Sin I think is bad. I think you're supposed to play Silas over Lee Sin, and then you can drop the Galio and you can play like somebody else like Lilia. But basically you always want to have Annie or Nautilus, because those are just like giga good frontline units. And then you want Ashe, Kai'Sa, Kayn as like your main damage dealers, and the other two are kind of interchangeable, the Lee Sin and the Galio. I do it like this because I think this one's like the one that's more stable on 8. The problem is with some of these units, they conflict with the 5 cost, and that's why it's a little bit worse. So for example, if you're playing Nautilus, which is Warden, you can't play Set, which is a really good 5 cost that you can play and still benefit from built diff. If you're playing Ornn, you can't really play Azir, but I think Ornn is just better, so you don't really worry about Azir. The main ones that you want to try and fit in are Aurelia, which is really good with attack speed, and built diff gives a lot of attack speed, and Lissandra, which attack speed and HP also really benefit the Lissandra. So that's why you typically don't want to play around like having a Syndra on your board, and you typically don't want to play around having a Lee Sin on your board. Those are like the main 2. But other than that, that's pretty much the board. You're kind of trying to play towards Kai'Sa in a lot of the ways, because the reason you're playing towards Kai'Sa is because she doesn't really conflict with any of the legendaries, because even Ashe conflicts with some of the legendaries, right? Sorry about the music. Because you can't play Lissandra if you have Ashe already, right? Or you might have to like sell and remake and do stuff like that. The main thing is that Kai'Sa is very uncontested currently in the meta. Whenever you're playing built diff, a lot of times you're getting so much stats because your whole board is basically tanky and has a lot of attack speed. You kind of care more about what you can hit rather than like what's the best, right? Like what's the strongest unit, right? Like you're not playing built diff and saying I'm gonna hit Irelia 2 and that's gonna be my carry. It's like, fuck no. It's like, I'm gonna play Kai'Sa because nobody in the lobby is gonna grab a Kai'Sa, and they're all gonna grab the other 4 costs. so that when I'm rolling for 4 costs, I will eventually hit like a Kaisa 2. And there's a lot of times with built Diff that people hit like 3 stars of their 4 costs just because like nobody's buying the units, everybody buys all the other ones, and you're just rolling like a degenerate for all the 4 costs, thinning out the pool, right? And then eventually you like grab a lot of copies of one particular unit and then you just send it, right? So that's just always something to keep in mind when you're seeing somebody that is playing built Diff. You just gotta pay attention because like there's gonna be a lot of 4 costs gone, so you have to look around and see like, okay, there might be a lot of people who are gonna hit the like 4 cost rerolls, right? Yeah, so then encounters is just make your board strong. You just have to be like econing, like you can lose out on stage 2 to Garrett if this wasn't Scuttle Puddle where there wasn't like extra gold for all of the people in the lobby, then you might want to like lose out stage 2 if you don't have a really strong opener, just to guarantee that you have streak gold and that you're like fairly rich. Because if you lose out stage 2, you don't lose that much HP, but you, as long as you're like, you know, you can make it to Krugs with like 50 gold or something, and be in a pretty good position, and then try and like, you know, partially send it on for some upgrades on stage 3, and then by 4-1 4-2 you're level 8 and you have your full board done. So I think here I'm like decently strong because I'm starting to like just hit stuff. I'm gonna start slowly skipping ahead because we don't really need to fight these. I have a couple upgrades in, there's no traits in, so I'm still good. You just have to be cognizant of that because sometimes like when you're making your board, you think that there's no traits in, and then you accidentally put in a trait, and then like the match starts and then you're screwed. This is one of the bad parts of built Diff. See, like I got dropped a spat, and usually like you get dropped a spat, you're like, this is the greatest game ever, I'm gonna win, this is so good, I'm so happy. I got dropped a spat. That's like the worst thing I could get dropped, right? Because I don't want any traits in, so I'm never gonna use the spat. So, and the problem is, like, if I'm getting a spat, then the rest of the lobby is getting a spat or something of equal value because of the changes, like with the rare drops and everything like that. You know, I think that's the worst part. Like, there was one time I played built Diff in loot subscription and I went 5th. And I don't think it was the fault of built Diff being difficult. It was just the built Diff being bad. It was just the fault of, like, sometimes like when people are getting dropped spats and stuff and they're like giga spiking and you can't like do the same. Like built Diff, you really rely on like the game being not super like crazy in terms of like people getting able to reach like very high verticals, right? Because you're never going to reach a high vertical, if that makes sense. Like you're going to kind of cap out around playing these 4 costs. But anyways, if we look at my position, I have really high HP. I'm pretty rich, but it's Scuttle Puddle, so everybody is rich. I'm just looking for, I think Combat Caster, I checked the stats and it was really good for built Diff. But basically I'm just trying to pick augments that are really good combat augments, and I'm just going to try and make myself like a giga board, right? I do a little level here, I'll lose 2 gold. I think the right play here, I think I end up doing it, but I can't remember if I do it because I've played so many games and this was a while ago. But I should maybe sell the Ari and put in the other Ari just to make 50. But it's Scuttle Puddle, so I'll recover the econ anyways, and it's only 1 gold, so it's not that bad. But there is the option because I can, yeah, I end up doing it. Yeah. I vaguely remember myself being proud of that strat, so yeah. I don't think the extra Ari, like, it probably does a lot of damage, and I might lose this fight because of it, but I think, like, the main thing is you have to make it to 8. So if you're healthy and you can greed, you just need to make econ threshold as much as possible. And I think I might still beat this guy. Actually, I don't beat this guy because he has Syndra too, or he has Syndra already with double item. Yeah. Like the Ari, in hindsight, like maybe the Ari was a little bit better, but I don't think I would have won even with the Ari, so, you know, it works out. Yeah. There's a lot of 2 traits in this, there's the main thing with build Div now that's kind of like a little bit awkward is that there's a lot of 2 traits in this set, which I really like. I feel like it's really nice to tech in multiple traits. and give yourselves like small buffs to your team. But in general, you kind of want to be, you have to just be a lot more careful. Anyways, I think a lot of these fights I either win or lose, right? Like I'm not streaking at all in this stage. I think I should just try and grab a 4 cost here. Yeah, and the reason you're playing around the 4 cost is because they're the most reliable to hit of being like quality strong units, right? Like maybe there's some other options of built diff that I've seen where, like, for example, if you get something like 3's company with built diff or 2's company, and then you just like stack 2 costs and 3 costs, but it's really hard to like work out the traits those ways. The 4 costs are distinct enough in that they don't share common traits with each other very often, right? Like of the 4 costs, there's only like Kane and Morgana that share Ghostly, Galio and Silas that share Bruiser, for example, right? But in most cases, the 4 costs are very distinct from one another, that they don't fit into the same comp, and they don't, like, typically they don't share similar traits with each other, right? That's just me checking Irelia, because I checked the stats and I saw that Irelia and Wei were really good, so I was like, oh, well, why don't I play Irelia then? And I'm like, oh yeah, because if I'm playing Lee Sin, but then, like, you know, just what it is what it is. But as I was saying, actually I forgot what I was saying, but whatever, hopefully that was a clear point. Oh yeah, the 4 costs being different. All the 4 costs, they all kind of belong to their own comp in a way. Some of them kind of share traits, but very few of them don't. So it's very easy to build a board around the 4 costs with built diff, and they're all quality units that they're very strong, right? Like you don't want to make a built diff comp with a 1 cost or 2 cost board because you probably get outscaled because the units themselves aren't very strong, right? Because they're only worth 1 or 2 gold. The 5 costs are really hard to make a board around because a lot of the 5 costs have unique traits that make them it makes them not work with built diff. So for example, if you have a Wei, that's what I was saying before, Wei has the trait Artist, which is just a 1 trait that's like his thing where he duplicates units, right? And that counts as a trait. So because it counts as a trait, it's not as reliable to play around the 5 costs, and it's also really hard. Like it's much more feasible to say I'm just gonna get to 8 and I'm gonna roll all my gold on 8 than to say, oh yeah, I'll just like get to 9 or get to 10 and get the legendaries. It's like, really? Anyways, I found a Syndra and I'm just playing the Syndra for now. You'll see later that it kind of works out bad in my favor because like I end up like selling Syndra, so then like some crazy shit happens in the game. But thank God that Annie was broken. By the way, Annie's just so fucking good. Annie was like I was talking with somebody and he was like, Annie's like Poppy of last set, where she's like, you know, generally like a lot of people just don't play her, but she's generally like one of the best units to just throw in, right? But it's like, you know, if you're playing like a vertical trade, it's really hard to like just fit her in. But yeah, I put in Syndra there because I'm like, oh, I already have a Syndra. Maybe I'll play this Syndra. Checking the gold. I'm like, yeah, you know, I could probably like level. I can probably 4-1 or 4-2 this. I'm still 80 HP because I did pretty well. It is a very strong combat augment. Like, don't get it wrong. And I do have upgrades, right? I have this Garen with 3 items, which he's a great item holder because he does like a lot of. He generally does a lot of damage. He does single target, which is really nice, and the HP also helps him. And then I have this Diana too, and then I also have this Aphelios with some attack speed items. Yeah, so in terms of items, that like you can also build diff around like whatever items. Like if you get a bunch of AP items, you can play around the Syndra or one of the AP units. Typically, I'm just building Guinsoo and probably like something like I'll probably make like a Last Whisper here. The reason that I'm building towards those is because I want to play towards Kai'Sa or Ashe as my main carries. Ashe is a little bit more contested, but Kai'Sa generally nobody wants. But you kind of want to just like target, like your backline carry is going to be targeted of whoever the lobby isn't playing, more or less. Because the actual unit doesn't matter as much to you because you're not like, it's not like you're playing Kai'Sa and you need her to be like giga trick shotting and like all sorts of stuff. She's going to gain a bunch of stats and your front line is going to be impenetrable with its stats. So long as you just like have everybody 2-star, if that makes sense. Right. Yeah, I kind of got washed here. This guy kind of sent it already. He's like really strong, and he has a lot of gold. And he has like a Lilia for fun. My bad. But anyways, I think here this is where the game starts to get crazy. So I don't know if this is a thing. But I looked at this and I saw long distance power. I saw crash test dummy. I said, fuck it. I might as well take reinforcement because I have to buy like a bunch of 4 costs anyways. So usually, I don't know if reinforcement is good. I tried taking it. Sometimes I take it and I go 8th, and sometimes I take it and I go 1st because it really depends on what you hit. Because like, you know, it's not good to like select reinforcement and then to roll trying to find the 1 4 cost you need. You waste all your gold and then you buy it and it's 2-star. It doesn't matter, right? But in this case, I feel like it's really good because I want to get any 4-star, right? Or I want to get any 4 cost, right? Any 4 cost that I get is good to fit on my board. So I find an Annie, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, Annie 2, easy, right? It spikes my board by so much because I'm playing built Diff, so it's good for me, right? So because I'm playing Annie, I don't get to play Lilia because Lilia is also Invoker. That's why I skipped the Lilia. And yeah, and I just hit another 2 Annies. So now I have reinforcement Annie, and then I kind of rolled into the other Annies. It doesn't make that much sense. Like, this is a lot of Annies considering. Like, I saw more Annies in this shop than did any other unit. The thing is that I should probably switch. Yeah, this and then yeah, that looks okay. Sure. I hit a Set and I hit a Lissandra, so it's like, okay, I guess I'll just play Set and Lissandra. So because I'm playing Lissandra, I'm not gonna play Syndra anymore. I hit the Kaisa. I'm anticipating that I'll hit Kaisa too, so I end up putting all of those on, all the items on her. Annie is just an impenetrable wall of a unit. She is so good. So I'm so happy to see an Annie. I did natural a bunch of them, but you have to understand that not only am I rolling for 4 costs, but a lot of the lobby as well is rolling for 4 costs. And if nobody in the lobby is playing Annie, which nobody is playing Annie, then there's a good chance that you'll be able to hit a lot of the units, right? I did high roll a little bit, but you know, it's kind of expected. I think there's like a Kayn player somewhere in this lobby that already has Kayn and Morgana. But yeah, I don't know how aggressive you should be here, but there's a lot of aggression you can take, per se. And another thing with built Diff that you can see is I have 2 Annie 2s, right? The traits don't matter, so you can play duplicates of units so long as they're upgraded, right? So I have 2 Annie 2s. Yeah, fuck it. She's a great unit. I'm gonna put both Annie 2s in the lobby, right? I put a Crown Guard on 1 because I think Crown Guard is really good on her. And I'm holding this Nautilus, but I think I forgot that Set is Warden. Now, Set's a little bit awkward because Set does scale, and I hit him early. So if you hit an early Set, it's pretty good. But then I shouldn't be holding the Nautilus, but it's like, whatever. Right? I'm kind of digging because I want this Kaisa too. Because even though I have these 2 Annies and I'm probably stable and I can just econ up, I just want to hit the Kaisa to guarantee the top 4, right? Like, this is my first time playing built Diff, so I'm not 100% on whether or not I'm like in a win out position, right? And it's Scuttle Puddle, and I'm scared that like, oh, what if people like hit really big verticals or everybody gets to level 10 and I'm here buying 4 costs? Excuse me. Anyway, so I already have a bunch of Annies. Oh, there's an Annie right there, right? I'm probably not gonna get it, but I don't think people are like alert enough to realize like people might not realize that I took reinforcement and I might have the Annie. Anyways, look at this guy. Bang! Oh, I want to replay that. I think this is my greatest moment of TFT ever. Watch this shit. I need to like ready? Watch this. Watch this. You might have not seen it, so I'll break it down for you. All right? Ready? So we're hitting Carousel, right? I see this Annie, right? I check. You can see. I flashed it, right? I already have 6 Annies, right? It's not the Annie that gives me Annie 3, but look at this guy. He's thinking, oh, should I take the bow? Should I take... Bang! One more time. Check this. Watch this. Watch me break this guy's ankle. See, so I know that he's just like trying to bait it. So I'm like walking the other way because like I don't know what he wants, right? He doesn't know what I want, right? I don't care about the bow. I just care about the Annie, right? And this guy, I don't know, he's just trying to grief me, right? He's like, oh, you know, should I take this one? What does he want? What does he want? Boom, right? I can see that he's waiting for me. So I make it look like I'm going for another item. He then, like, he panics. He's like, oh, I'm going to grief this guy. And then what happens? I get the Annie. So now I'm 2 off Annie, right? 2 off Annie. And I'm not thinking like, should I roll for this? I'm still rolling for this Kaisa, if I have to be honest, right? I don't really care about the Annie per se. Oh, look, now he's pinging. Now he's pinging, right? Everybody's looking. They're like, oh no, he's gonna hit Annie 3. But now that I'm pinged, I'm still looking for this Kaisa, right? I'm not rolling for Annie 3. I'm kind of just sitting around. Oh, sorry, I'm 1 off with this Annie, right? But I'm just sitting around. I think now I was rolling for the Annie. I didn't realize I was 1 off. I thought I was still 2 off with the Carousel. But I forgot that I had an extra Annie from before. But yeah, they're pinging me. I think this is the, I think this guy. So this guy has a greater duplicator on his bench, right? So we should pay attention because he's holding an extra Syndra, right? And I didn't really pay attention to this, but we'll see later. Because, you know, spoiler, if he has a duplicator and he's holding Syndras, you know, I should probably alert myself and hold Syndras. And I was so pissed off with these guys. Because, like, first of all, I already broke that guy's ankle. I already broke one guy's ankles to find the Annie. And I hate it when people don't play properly. Because this should never happen, right? Can we be real here? I hit Annie 3. You can see me typing, right? The reason I'm typing, like, the guy, you grief the guy when it's Carousel round to prevent this from happening, right? If it was me, I would have gone for the Annie. It was an Annie with a bow, and I was last pick, and I got it. This is on the lobby. Like, everybody's like, then they start complaining, they're pinging, they're typing. You'll see after, it's like, oh, how do I beat Annie 3? Like, fuck you. Like, this is why sometimes these games suck, right? Because somebody like me hits, right? I don't feel proud of myself. I'm happy, you know, give me the free first. I'm down, right? But like, these people are pinging and like being annoying, and it's like, don't do it when it's too late. Look early, like, pay attention, right? Like, I'm scouting everybody, trying my hardest, right? And there's lobbies like that happen a lot. Like, there's lobbies where it's like I'm the only one rolling to stop somebody from hitting, right? Anyways, I'm scouting. The reason I'm scouting is I'm trying to see if anybody here is hitting a 3-star, right? Because like, now I know that I just thinned out the pool. I want to see this though. Also, I don't mean to roast people. What I mean is, like, there's a lot of games where, like, somebody randomly hits a 3-star and I'm the only one that's trying to prevent it, right? And that's what I see a lot, because I think a lot of people just don't care. They're like, ah, if he hits, he hits. If he doesn't, he doesn't. And it's just like, you know, I hate it when people ping so late. It's like, why are you pinging? It's Scuttle Puddle. You're pinging when I have, like, 7 Annies and I'm in the top, like, 4. You know what I mean? Like, I'm at no, like... It's gonna happen at one point already. Like, it's too late, right? You need to ping earlier and hold the Annies early to make sure that you hit 2 of them. I end up making Morgana here because I think somebody else is playing Kayn, so I don't know if I'll ever hit the Kayn 2. I still didn't hit the Kaisa 2, which is crazy. But anyways, I'm just thinking, okay, I'll make a BT for Annie because Annie 3 is Annie 3. But yeah, the thing about 3-cost units is, like, you might think like you want to damage 3-cost a lot, but in all honesty, when you have like an all-around unit like Annie, she's just unkillable and she does so much damage, right, that you don't have to worry about it. Anyways, this is where I made a mistake, right? So I'll point out my mistake here because I was just talking about scouting, and I'll show how I was incorrect in scouting. So I scouted here and I'm looking for units. I scout here, right? So this guy, 1 turn ago, had a Syndra 2 in the back with the items. We can see it in the back with the items. And he had a Syndra on bench, right? I did not notice that he put in, within that 1 turn, he hit another Syndra 2, and he put it in. So now he's actually only 1 off of Syndra. I did not notice that, but I did not see him put in the Syndra 2 in the, like, in the board, right? Because before, his board was the same. Like when I scouted 1 or 2 turns ago, I paused it. just to double check, but maybe even when I paused it now I missed it. The problem is I hate these faded units because like they all look the same, right? Like if I flash this board to you like this, like for a split second, right? If you're scouting everybody, do you even notice? Like my eyes don't even notice that there's 2 Syndras here. Like this guy, this Aphelios that's next to the Syndra almost looks like a Syndra, right? This Ashe next to the Syndra almost looks like a Syndra. I don't know what the fuck these units are looking at them, but you know, that's my fault. But anyways, if I let it play out a little bit longer, you can see that there are in fact 2 Syndra 2s, and he is in fact 1 off of Syndra 3. So this game's about to get crazy. Anyways, let's watch this Annie just slap everybody and just kill it. Ready? Slap. Ready? Like, bang. Bang. Look at this. She's unkillable. Ready? Bang. 3,000 damage. Man, Annie's so cool. But anyways, where's everybody pinging now? Where's everybody pinging that the other guy's gonna get Syndra 3? Nobody cares anymore? Anyways, I scout again. This is where I'm dumb. I still didn't see it, right? I just didn't notice it because the thing is, like, if he had like an extra Syndra on the bench, I would have noticed it. But because it looks like exactly how I scouted like a turn ago, I didn't notice that like he swapped out one of the units on his board with another Syndra. And I think that's a really good tactic if you want to hide the fact that you have like duplicates of stuff. I reforged one of the items. I'm thinking, okay, maybe I should just make like a red buff, which I want to put on the set. But yeah, I should have more properly scouted, because in some situations that can definitely cost you, right? That's like, oh great, so I'll take fault to it, right? But you know, where's everybody else? Like, everybody else is playing for second at best, right? Because I have a 3-star. Why wouldn't you ping the guy hitting the Syndra? Anyways, I noticed it now when I scouted. But anyways, Syndra 3. And I'm looking at it, and I'm confused. I'm like, wait, but who was in the back line? Like, I didn't notice that he swapped out, like, I guess he swapped Ari for Syndra because it did more damage. But I'm like, I didn't notice that he had Syndra. And nobody pinged it. But it's like, you know what? That's fine. You know, that's acceptable. Because fuck the rest of the people in the lobby. Now, I'll be honest here. I'm not scared. Why am I not scared? Because I know how these matchups usually work. If it's a 3-star versus a 3-star, usually the tank wins, right? Now, you know, maybe that's a bit of copium, but it's generally true. The reason it's true is because the Syndra will get stuck on my, like, think of it as like a Syndra 2 and an Annie 2, right? Imagine the rest of the board is just irrelevant. There's no rest of the board, right? It's just Syndra 2 and Annie 2. Like, not 3-star, just 2-starred. The Syndra will probably get stuck on the Annie anyways, and if you put them in a 1v1 situation, a Syndra 2 won't beat an Annie 2 because the Annie 2 will just walk up, tank, and then like kill the Syndra, right? Unless the Syndra has like mad DPS, right? As a backline unit, it relies on the front line staying alive in order to ramp up and do the damage, right? And this guy's typing like he's annoyed, right? And you know who's typing? The Aatrox that didn't deny the Annie on Carousel. He's like, this is so shit. This is so whatever. And he's like, why are you typing? It's like, these people are so bad sometimes. Anyways, I give Set Edge of Night. The reason I give Set Edge of Night is because the Set dives the backline and can stun. And if he has Edge of Night, he might live a cast. I don't know if Edge of Night procs, because Syndra doesn't do one-shot damage. She does multi-hit, right? So the Syndra won't actually be able to kill somebody with Edge of Night because the Edge of Night will proc and then she'll de-aggro mid-cast, is what I believe is the interaction. But anyways, we can watch this. Ready? Annie 3 versus Syndra 3. Who's gonna win? Oh, my Annie's knocking over the front line. Oh shit, is Syndra gonna do damage? Oh, she's fucking dead. Bang. And that's what I was saying before. Like, you see how the front line collapses, and the Syndra has to out DPS the Annie 3, but the Annie 3's defenses are so high that that's why usually these things don't matter. I'm just looking if he's trying to hit another 3 cause. I'm like, do I have to hold Orns all of a sudden? Right? Because I'm pretty confident it's fine, right? And now I'm like double checking everything. Because I'm like, okay, I can't have somebody, like if somebody hits a 3-star front line, that's a problem. Because if it's 3-star front line versus 3-star front line, then the Annie might get stalled by the other frontline unit, and then the rest of the damage could ramp up. But yeah. Oh, this was a fun game. But anyways, so lesson to be had is if you scout, make sure that you scout properly. Like, I need to work on recognizing some of the units because that is my fault, right? If I didn't have Annie 3 and that guy just hit the Syndra without me, I would have definitely thrown away a potential first. Also, if you are scouting and pinging and like ratting and doing all of this stuff, don't do it at the last second. Do it early, right? Because people are not, like, unless you're in a spot where it directly like affects your placement, you're not incentivized to roll down to prevent somebody else from winning the game, right? Because you have to focus on your own game. However, pinging early allows people, as they roll for their own units, they can then consciously hold on to a unit in order to get their, like, you know, like for example the Bard guy that's re-rolling Bard, right? As he's rolling for Bard, if he has enough gold, he could have held an Annie, right? And then prevent me from just giga winning, right? I still think Built Diff would have won me a lot of the game. Like, as you can see, I was still very strong with the 2 Annies on the board. I was kind of win streaking at that point in the game. I might have been outcapped by the Faded guy because 7 Faded is very strong. And I don't know the interaction with Bard, how well it is, because I think with Bard you want to play Ashe more than Kai'Sa, because Kai'Sa without Trick Shot doesn't hit the backline very aggressively. But yeah, this is pretty much my board. I just go 9 here because I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I'll just play something else. I still didn't hit Kai'Sa 2, by the way, but I kind of econed up. Oh, I don't know why I didn't make the Kayn. Oh, I guess because I have the Morgana already. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Kayns and Kai'Sas now, but now I'm thinking to myself, okay, if this game goes on long enough, I'll just hit another 3's cost. Like, I'll just hit another 3-star, whatever. And this is what I was saying before, Built Diff, you could put in 2 of the exact same unit. That's totally fine. Anyways, there's nothing this guy can do to prevent him from, like, there's no way this guy beats me with just Syndra 3. He needs to hit something else, because as you can see, this is against a Ghost, but as you can see, and he just walks up, smacks the guy, and the game is over, right? So obviously, so like if I have to give you words of advice, I think a lot of times a frontline 3 cost might be better than a backline. It does depend on the situation, but usually it's like the most broken unit is like the best to 3-star. In this case, Syndra is in this case Annie is like one of the most broken out of all the units. I should be making these Kayns, honestly, because I can swap out Morgana for Kayn any day of the week. Oh, I forgot it was warded. Okay, let me just get rid of that. I probably should play the Lee Sin 2 over this Galio. But yeah, hopefully, even though this game was I think this game was kind of fun, that there was a 3-star Annie and you can watch all the cool fights. I'm trying to hype it up. It's kind of hard without like the background audio, but when I do these recordings offline, I don't have the background audio just because, like, you know, I'm just doing other stuff. But you know, hopefully this was hype. Now you guys can see how strong Annie is, 2-star, 3-star or not, and you can see some interactions. Hopefully it was informative as well, and you guys can try out Built Diff for yourselves. I'm kind of just rolling here because I'm like, okay, well, I kind of won anyways. Let's see if I can hit something else. I am rolling really slow now. I'm kind of just like, whatever, right? Like, I think the other guy's 2 lives, and I'm like, I can just casually roll this turn. I'm also, like, scouting, because I'm trying to see, like, is there anything that I have to hold to prevent this guy from beating me? But I'm pretty sure it's completely beat, because I also have the set, right? I have a set 2 from before. So he has to hit, like, he doesn't even have set 2 yet. He doesn't even have Thresh 3. Like, there's nothing really he can do. Because watch, Annie's gonna transform. Boom. She transforms. Everybody's dead. Watch. Backline slap. Dead. Fucking slap. Dead. Last encounter. Doesn't really matter. I think I probably will just take the set here if I want to be like a real rat. But I'll probably take Morgana if I want to try and hit Morgana 3. Because now I'm like 2 off Morgana. I'm 2 off Lee Sin, 2 off Morgana, so I should like sell. Oh, I guess I'm 3 off Galio as well, but yeah, I just hold everything. I'm like, whatever. I don't feel like going for another one. You know what I noticed? It's actually very hard for YouTube videos to hit like multiple 3 costs and like convey that in a thumbnail. So like I find like I'm very unmotivated by it, because one time I hit like the multiple 3 costs and like it was so hard to like the video got no views because it was just too confusing, right? Like you either have to hit 1 3 cost that you could say I hit 3 costs Annie, or you have to hit like all the 3 costs so you could say I hit all the 3 costs, right? But like there's like this middle ground of like 2 or 3 where it's hard to like describe. Anyways, slap, done. GG, shake my hand. Anyways, that's my built diff game. Hopefully it was a little bit entertaining. I have a couple of these funny, entertaining-ish videos that we can watch and go over. And hopefully you guys learned something and can try out built diff for yourselves. Bye-bye.